Hey guys, one of the things that we have been working on, doing a little R&D, if you will, for our new menu. We've been experimenting with a lot of different meats that traditionally aren't on our menu. And one of the things we've been working on are called beef back ribs. These are quite a bit different than your traditional beef ribs that a lot of people call dinosaur bones, maybe, that you'll see that are the big, meaty bones. They're $25, $30, $40 a piece for one rib, but you can practically feed your family on it. These are different in which this rib comes from where the prime rib comes from, or the Delmonico steak, or the ribeye, or all of those cuts come off of this rib. I'm sure you've seen a prime rib roast with the bones on it. Well, these are those bones. And so what ends up happening is they, in a means of getting as much prime rib meat or ribeye meat on the ribeye, when they trim these, they kind of scallop them, you know, they get as close down to the bone as possible. So there's not a lot of meat left on them, but the meat that is left on them is freaking incredible. And we've cooked these a bunch of times before, and I used to always cook them like I would cook a ribeye, to like medium rare, hot and fast on the grill. And I always thought that was the best way to do it. Although I've seen a lot of guys doing them down in Texas where they're cooking them low and slow for 3 to 4 hours and wrapping them and then cooking them for another hour. So that's what we're going to experiment with today. I've never cooked them that way, low and slow, before. Basically, when there's not a lot to do to preparing these, this particular one had a little bit of fat on the top of these bones. That's about all I trimmed off here. On the back, I'm not going to remove the membrane, because I feel as though the membrane's kind of holding all these ribs together. What I am going to do is just kind of score it a little bit, which will help it with the cook, and potentially allow some seasoning to sneak through there. We don't need any flavor condoms on on the back of our meat. What I'm going to season it with today is we call it this kitchen spice, which is just salt, pepper, and garlic. And it's equal parts salt, equal parts pepper, and half of that 1 part garlic powder, not garlic salt. And we put this on everything here in the restaurant. It goes on our French fries, it goes on our hamburgers, it goes on, you name it. It's in probably half of our recipes, because it just covers the salt, pepper, garlic thing. And we put salt, pepper, and garlic in everything. All right, so basically on the back of these here, let me swap out my meat glove. We don't want meat juices in the spices. So the back of the rib doesn't need nearly as much seasoning as the front. I just like to get a little bit of seasoning on there. Once again, this is our salt, pepper, garlic seasoning. Pat that down in there a little bit. This side, I'm gonna definitely season a little heavier. There we go. So that's about it. And we're going to put these into a 250-degree smoker. You can probably do it in a 250-degree oven if you don't have a smoker. We're going to run these about 3 hours, and then we're going to wrap them, and then we're going to go like another hour until we can temp wherever we can find some meat. And we're getting a temperature of 195 to 205, somewhere in that ballpark. Then we'll pull them out, we'll give them a little bit of barbecue sauce, and kind of throw them back in for 10 to 15 minutes to glaze them up, and then we'll be testing them out to eat.